Hello again! I finally get to make another video in my series of vlogs about the process of getting published! Yay! So I've finally gotten a request for a manuscript with the most recent query that I've sent out. Request for full manuscripts, as I've mentioned in a couple of videos, is usually the next step after you've sent a query letter out to an agent. If they like it, they might request a couple more pages, a couple chapters. Sometimes they'll request 50 pages, sometimes they'll request 5 chapters, whatever, but in my experience at least, most commonly they either request nothing or they request the full manuscript. Now, how you're going to get the manuscript requests vary slightly. It will always be in an email format, I can tell you that much, or at least it has always for me. But some of them will send you an email requesting that you attach the full manuscript to a reply. Some of them will be a form that you literally click submit on. But generally speaking, you're going to need your manuscript to be in a Word document that you can send them through email of some sort. Now, some will tell you exactly what they're looking for. Okay, so this is one of the manuscript requests I've gotten recently. You'll notice it's pretty simple, but this one actually does give you information about what they want in formatting. Specifically, 12-point font, Times New Roman, double space with paragraphs indented. Others are going to not tell you exactly what they're looking for. Now, if they don't say in the email exactly what they're looking for when it comes to formatting, then your next step is to go to their website and see if they have specified something for formatting. And yeah, it can be a bit annoying when you have your document formatted the way that you thought was the accepted manuscript formatting, and then you go to the agent's website and realize that this particular agent wants everything formatted ever so slightly different. Now, the good news is most of this is on computers. You can make most of these formatting changes with a couple of clicks. But you want to check to make sure you're sending them what they are actually requesting for, because I know good and well some of the reasons that they'll put weird manuscript formatting things in their requests is specifically to show that you are willing to work with them. You're willing to jump through the that you're willing to jump through the hoops to get your book published. Because if you're not willing to go and change your font from 13 point to 12 point, you're not going to be willing to make major edits in your book. Now, also, some of it is just legibility. It has to do with what they find most easy to read, because they are going to be reading a buttload of manuscripts. But let's talk about what a traditional manuscript formatting looks like. You want there to be a title page, first and foremost. Your title page is pretty simple. It should have the title of the manuscript, your name, and down in this corner down here, I'm not going to show you because it's the internet, but it should have all your contact info. So your phone number, your address, your email address, the same contact info you'd put on any cover letter. You'll notice that this page does not have a header. All the other pages will, this one does not. Then we scroll down past the dangerous info and we get to the actual header here. So my header is pretty simple. You'll notice it is the title of the manuscript, an M dash, my last name, and another M dash before we get to the page number. Page number, you should start the first, page 1 should be the first page of your manuscript, not your title page. How you'll set this, if you do not know how to set different headers, you can click on the actual header and it will take you to this header information, or you can just go over to header. But page number is set with this little page number tab. You can tell it where you want it, but you'll need to format your page number. And you'll format it by starting at 0. That way your title page will be the 0, and then you make it invisible by collecting this button up here, different first page for the header. Then you can just erase all the information in it and it will be an empty header on the first page. But the second page, you'll get your lovely little header. After you have your header, you'll go on to jump down to halfway down the page. I've seen either halfway or a third. I hate going all the way halfway down the page. It feels like a lot of wasted space to me. The important thing is I always go to the 3 or somewhere around there. It's sometimes hard to get it to line up perfectly, but you'll put chapter and the chapter number. If you have a chapter title, it goes underneath or above, whichever. I don't actually know because I've never titled chapters. You do not have your chapter title in a different font or a different size. Times New Roman 12-point font is what everything should be in. Some places will accept Arial or Courier, but I personally hate both of those fonts, so I stick to Times New Roman unless they specifically say something else. You'll also not want your title to be bolded. It is just literally Times New Roman 12-point font. I saw a couple places that said put it all in capitals, and that's what I do to make it stand out a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure that is necessary. You then want to do 5 or 6 jumps down. The important thing is to be consistent across every chapter. Then you start your actual manuscript finally. First line of every paragraph should be indented. You'll notice that the email that I got most recently asking for a manuscript actually specified do not just use tab, but use the ruler, which I do find a bit weird because your ruler sets the tab. Like, that's what these little things are. They're telling you where the tab is. If for some reason your tab has gotten misplaced in Word, the way you set that is literally just by grabbing this little doohickey and sliding it over to where it needs to go. The proper accepted indent is a 1/2 inch. Your margins should be a full inch. You should have double-spaced lines. If you don't know how to double space, it's just this little button up here, too. You'll also not want to add a line after each paragraph, which ironically, when I'm writing, I don't put tabs, indents in any of my paragraphs and do put a double space between each paragraph, just because for some reason, that's the way I'm comfortable writing. And it's actually really convenient because on my first edit, I can see where I am by what's formatted wrong, because part of my editing process is going through and formatting everything correctly. The other thing that I consistently do wrong when I'm writing is after each sentence, I was taught to always put a double space. Current accepted formatting says you do not. Only one space after each sentence. If, like me, you have double spaced all your sentences and do not feel like going through and removing a space each time, the easiest way to fix this is select all, replace, and just have double space, single space here, and then just hit replace all, and it will go through your manuscript and check for you. Thank you. The next thing that you'll want to do, formatting wise, that you'll need to know, I'll show you that. Close, friend. At the end of each chapter, you will not continue the next chapter in the same page. Even if there's room to fit, you do not. You always start on a new page, which I find immensely annoying when I have one line left on a page and then I have to go to a completely new one, which is why I have been known to spend hours editing a chapter down to get that one line on the previous page just so I don't feel like I'm wasting space. And yes, I know that is ridiculous and stupid. I'm a bit obsessive at times. The other thing, formatting-wise, that I've run into is, what do you do when you have a separate scene within the same chapter? You use 3 asterisks. Why do I always do that? That goes away. Go on. There you go. There you go. You'll just put them on a separate line, center them, which you can just center by going to this tab. Be careful when you're centering. Sometimes, because it's on a new line, they'll think you want it indented and then centered, so instead of being centered on the page, it's further over this way. So just keep an eye on that and make sure it doesn't look off-center, because that might explain why. One site I saw said that you want to end your manuscript by literally just putting the word end on a page by itself, like at the end of the manuscript. I'm pretty sure that is left over from the days that most manuscripts were in print, so you can make sure you saw that you had the last page. The other formatting thing that you need to know, the actual document itself. Most of the time, the important thing is to include the title of your manuscript and your last name in your document file name, and that makes perfect sense for me. It makes it a lot easier for people to find things stored on their computer. Okay, so hopefully now you have an idea of what manuscript formatting is supposed to look like. Once you have your manuscript completely formatted, you can do like I did the first time I got a manuscript request and panicked and spent all night giving one more quick edit to make sure everything looked as good as possible. But most of the time, you should have your book edited to the point that you feel comfortable showing it to an agent. So once it's formatted right, make sure that you are sending it the way that they requested. If they requested you enter it in a form, you enter it in that form. If they requested a Word document attached to an email, you send a Word document attached to an email. You send it in, and some agents will be so kind as to tell you exactly how long you should wait for a response. I know one of the ones that I got recently said to wait 6 to 12 weeks before I get worried. The other one I got recently didn't specify any amount of time I'm supposed to wait, but luckily their website did say that their reading times are 6 to 12 weeks as well, so I know vaguely how long I need to wait before I get panicky. Now, I do know also that if you wait past the time that they say it takes them, like say you're looking at an agency that says they take at most 6 months and it's been 7 months, then you're allowed to send them what's called a prod. Send them a politely worded email to be like, hey, did you read it? For when it comes to full manuscript requests, agents have always gotten back to me. I've never had them just ghost me on it. So I've never had to send a prod. I've never sent one for a query because a lot of agents say that if you don't hear back, that is a rejection. But I do think you do hear back when it's a full manuscript request. Now, I will say also, I've had a manuscript requested, I think, going on like 5-6 times now, and most of the time, the rejection is immediate. Like, I've gotten multiple times, I've sent in a query and sent in a manuscript, and by the end of the next day, I've heard back in the negative. I've also had one that took about a week to get back to me, and right now I have one that I sent in like, oh god, it feels like a month ago, but I think it was only like 2 weeks ago that I haven't heard anything about. So I know that I have a little while left to wait. The trick at this point is to not get your hopes up, because even though it feels like a big step up, it might not be. Most manuscript requests still end in rejection. But if nothing else, it gives hope. So hopefully you'll get a manuscript request and you get to panic about formatting and making sure you sent things in the right way. Good luck.